What is up, you guys? This is Mini Superheroes Today. Hey guys, today we're throwing it back to the year 2000 to make custom LEGO minifigures from the Spider-Man video game from that same year. This video game was basically my childhood and a huge introduction for me into the Spider-Man world, so I think it's only appropriate to build the main characters as LEGO minifigures. So if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit like and subscribe, and what we're going to do here is build the characters using only 100% official LEGO parts and pieces. Without any further ado, let's get into it. So first up we have Spider-Man, and I used the 2021 minifigure. Pretty wild to think that like the perfect figure came out 21 years after the game, but the only thing you want to make sure you have different here is that you have the dual molded legs for the red and blue combo, because that just looks so good on Spider-Man. This game is basically coming straight off of the 90s, so our Peter Parker is very 90s inspired. So I used the torso from Bruce Banner from Thor Ragnarok, as well as Infinity War, with the legs from Superboy from LEGO DC. Those are kind of rare, so if you just want to use dark blue legs, that's totally fine. Ironically, the head is also from Bruce Banner, and we've got some swept back brown hair, most recently on Bruce Wayne from the Batman, but it's come in lots of different places. So Black Cat is the first character in this showcase where I can kind of talk about color scheming. Because of the era that this game came out in, it had some unique color schemes where characters that had traditionally black costumes were actually dark blue because it would look better in the context of the game. So Black Cat is our first example of that. I gave her dark blue arms with white hands, and then these legs from like the early 2000s, I think they were like Ice Agents or Arctic Agents or something like that, just to get that very early 2000s, late 90s video game feel. The torso, of course, comes from Black Cat from the Daily Bugle, as does the hair. And the weirdest thing about this character from the video game is, for some reason, she didn't have a mask on. So for this character, I gave her Hermione's head, but it's so weird. Like, why would Black Cat not have a mask on? All these years later, it's still a mystery to me. Now, there are some characters in this game, like random thugs and SWAT characters. We're not going to make those because who cares, really? But for Jonah Jameson, I used the torso from Eddie Prang from LEGO Harry Potter with some khaki legs, the head from Jonah Jameson from the Daily Bugle, and some flat top hair, which was pretty common back in the early 2000s. Ironically, a Jonah Jameson figure from Spider-Man 2 came with this hair, but it did come in a lot of places, so you could get it from just about anywhere. So next up we have Scorpion, who, in my opinion, was one of the more difficult figures to translate into LEGO, because in the video game, Scorpion has a dark blue with green accent costume, and the pieces that exist in LEGO right now don't really give us any great options for that. So I used these legs from LEGO Agents with the torso from Taskmaster from Black Widow, with the head and Scorpion backpack piece here from the Scorpion minifigure. There may be a better way to do this in the future as more pieces are released, but let me know what you think of this in the comments below, and we'll keep moving on. One of the coolest things about this game is it's one of the least isolated Spider-Man games, and by that I mean we see a lot of different Avengers and Marvel characters pop in that aren't traditionally Spider-Man main characters or villains, the first of which is Daredevil, who we run into relatively early in the game. So here I just used the Daredevil minifigure from the Daily Bugle because it's basically perfect right out of the box, but yeah, gotta get him represented in the showcase. Up next is Rhino, and thank goodness in the Spidey and His Amazing Friends set, we finally got a Rhino minifigure because it really helped me make this figure here. So this is the exact same Rhino custom that I made earlier this year using the head and headpiece with the Rhino horn on it from Spidey and His Amazing Friends, with the torso and legs from one of the Shadow Troopers, excuse me, I got hung up on my words there, from one of the Shadow Troopers from LEGO Star Wars. So like I said, we get to meet a lot of Spider-Man's friends in this, one of them being the Human Torch. It still kind of bums me you can't play as these characters, but it is cool to play as Spider-Man and run into all his amazing friends. So for the Human Torch, this is the design I've been using for a number of years now, and the thing I love about it is you really only need 2 figures to make it happen. So the legs and head come from NRG Kai from LEGO Ninjago, and the torso comes from Flama from Nexo Knights. It's literally perfect to make the Human Torch, and I love that you really just need 2 figures to get it across the finish line. So, just like Black Cat, Venom is actually primarily dark blue instead of black, but unfortunately, there's no way to get that Venom symbiote torso in dark blue using just official LEGO parts and pieces. So, I subbed out dark blue arms and hands and dark blue legs onto the most recent version of Venom to try and pull those colors together and try to give him that look while still staying true to the character. I actually really like the way it turned out. What do you think? Lizard was a tough one to make just because his design is so different in this game as far as like the color choices. So traditionally, I usually use the hands, head, and tail from the dinosaur costume guy from the LEGO collectible minifigure series. Then I use the head from Orca from the LEGO Batman collectible minifigure series, so you get the tongue in there. So when you put it all together, it gives a little depth and makes it look less like a costume and more like an actual monster. Then the torso comes from Hugo Strange from the LEGO Batman movie collectible minifigure series, with the legs from Gracer Batman, as well as like Lego City and things like that. The legs have come in a lot of places. And to give him a little extra color and height, I used two 1x1 studs on the legs to help bring it all together. No Spider-Man installment is complete without Mary Jane, or at least one of Spider-Man's girlfriends. So to build Mary Jane, I used the head from the only official modern era Mary Jane that we got many, many years ago, with some longer braided reddish hair. I just think that looks a lot like the game. You can see that the torso is just a random green torso flipped around with green arms, tan hands, and light blue legs. So I played this game growing up, and Mysterio in this game helped solidify him as one of my favorite Spider-Man villains of all time. So to make Mysterio from the game, I literally just used the regular Mysterio minifigure, switching out his gold hands for green hands to match the look in the game just a little bit more. Much like some of the characters we've already built, the Punisher's costume in this game is primarily blue, but the nice thing about the Punisher minifigure from the Daily Bugle is that the accenting of his abs on his suit is actually dark blue, so using these navy arms and legs combined with all of that really does pull the character together in a pretty natural way. You'll just want to make sure you keep his white gloves and use the torso, head, and hair from the Daily Bugle version of the Punisher. Doc Ock's look in this game is actually pretty unique, so to build it, I just used some regular Doc Ock arms with the head and hair from one of the more recent Doc Ocks. You can really use any of them. They work all pretty well together. I made sure you had orange hands to match those orange gloves from the game, with white legs and the flipped around torso from Gunther from the LEGO Friends Central Perk set. Carnage is an absolute maniac in this game, and I just used the most recent version of Carnage for the minifigure. You'll see why in just a second, but he does kind of crawl around on all fours in the game, and since you can't really make that happen in LEGO, I just kind of put him in this pose to get as close as we can without going overboard. And the game ends with Carnage taking over Doc Ock, and if you played this game back in the day, you know how stressful that final level was. Anyways, to build this, I used the first version of Carnage because I really love the arm printing on there, and the pink mouth works perfect for what we're going for this game, and of course, I just put some Doc Ock arms on him. The game's conclusion actually had the Avengers playing a card game, so we get Captain America and Namor at the very end, although the game calls him the Submariner. But anyways, these customs are figures that I've shown on the channel in various ways before. So for Namor, I used the Batman Beach figure from the collectible minifigure series for the torso and legs, but I flipped the hips around to get the bat symbol on the back so you don't really see it on the front. Then the head comes from Lex Luthor from DC, with the hair from one of the Wonder Twins from the LEGO Batman collectible minifigure series. For Captain America, I used the torso from the Mighty Micros Captain America, with the head from the comic book cap and the dual molded red and blue legs from Spider-Man and all kinds of different characters from over the years. So let's zoom out and I'll give you my final thoughts on this showcase. Well, let me know what you think of these customs in the comments down below. If you haven't already, hit like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Well, you made it to the end of the video. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and maybe check out one of my other videos listed here.